Yes, guys, welcome back to Flat Cap Euro Talk, but very, very sad news to report. Bastoni looks like he is staying. I think there have been kind of a few different things to sort of confirm that sort of news. His agent just reported via Fabrizio Romano has just come out and said that the agent is doing everything in his power to keep Alessandro Bastoni at Alessandro Bastoni at Inter Milan. He wants to stay at Inter Milan. And it seems like they're pretty much just not budging, no matter how much interest comes from the Premier League. You also look at the fact that it seems like maybe they're now looking at moves, maybe for Lautaro Martinez, perhaps moving out the way. Just seems like Alessandro Bastoni has decided to stay at Inter Milan, which is very sad news for Spurs fans. So I've decided, everybody, maybe do a bit of a solo stream with you guys, kind of engage in the comments, and maybe go through all the non-Bastonis, as maybe you might say, that maybe Spurs should take a look at. Later on the Irish Hotspur, we'll kind of be talking about maybe how we might maybe, change that sort of transfer plan over with Fabio Paratici now that our main target for that left-sided center back position is no longer available to us. But before I get into things, let's greet a bit of the Flat Cap Army here. We do have Alexander Hilton with the classic steak. Good to see you, Alexander, my man. George Hill saying, big up, Jack. Hope you're feeling well. Keeping well, not big on Torres. Worried about if he can be a physical enough in the Premier League. Not sure if there's a better left-sided center back option out on the market. Keep up the great work, my man. George, really do appreciate you. Fellow supporter out in New York. Big yourself up, George. But I must say, I kind of see where like a lot of the hesitation comes from with Pau Torres. And to be fair, I've always liked Pau Torres, but I'm one of those guys that likes to trust my fellow Spurs fan. And when I do see that a lot of people are not too big on the guy, kind of gives me a bit of hesitation, if you guys know what I mean. Where, originally I feel like I was fine with Pau Torres, but seeing so many Spurs fans who I do trust, kind of, maybe not being so big on him does give me a bit of hesitation or a bit of pause. But big up, George, and hopefully you're keeping well. Zoe, absolute legend, saying, big up, lads. Everyone knows how much I love Pau Torres. Affordable, good quality, and Spanish speaking, so he can easily communicate with Dier and Romero. Very true. Conte will make him our Spanish beast. Absolutely love that, Zoe. And Zoe, I'm just going to talk about this a bit later, but think about maybe Pau Torres also maybe coming in for Dyer's position. I know he could probably play out wide where Ben Davies does, but he could also maybe play Dyer's position just as well, and at least in my eyes. At least in my eyes, but I didn't even think about that Spanish speaking element. Good eyes there, Zoe. Love that. Absolutely love that. Always good to see you. Thank you for all the support. Martin Walton saying he's going to be going missing for work for about an hour. Never a bad time to take a lunch break, my man Martin. Especially, I would say, maybe Portugal. I mean, beautiful time to take a lunch break. I must say, mid afternoon, just the right time. Spurs Talk Show saying, big up, Jacko. Wish I could join you, but we'll be watching while it's working as well. Hi, all in the chat. Good to see you, Sean. And Sean was going to join us for this. It's going to be a very quick stream. Regardless, everybody, just going to kind of just talk about all the non-Bastonis, kind of break down the stats, compare them to Ben Davies, compare them to the likes of Eric Dier, and really just discuss maybe, between you and me in the chat, which one we think might actually be the best, apart from Alessandro Bastoni. Big up though, Sean. Really appreciate you tuning in, at least, my man. Marquise de Suave saying, I'm calling it. This is a smoke screen. Huge smoke screens about. Really, really do agree, Marquise. But maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. And so that's why I am trying to do this stream regardless, in case the Bastoni news are true. But Marquise, David does agree with you from the Irish Hotspur. He has said that he doesn't really feel like it's true that Bastoni is dead set staying at Inter. He does think that maybe Spurs still have a chance at getting him through the door. So I do like to see that sort of attitude. Dan Coy saying, afternoon, Jack. Finished work a bit early today, so managed to tune in. Dan, always appreciate when you tune in, my man. Really do. Kutlo Pena. That's when I'm going to start calling you, my man, because you do have a sick name. We just all kind of suck at pronouncing it. Saying, how are people doing? The people are doing well. Josh Smith with the super chat saying, Jack, could we still get Bastoni if we actually bid? Josh, I'm hearing a lot of confidence still from people like Marquise, people like David from the Irish Hotspur still when it comes to Alessandro Bastoni. So I'm not like losing all hope. I'm just kind of talking about the non-Bastonis if Bastoni doesn't, come to Spurs. Hence, kind of the question mark in the title, Josh. But if we threw in like a 70 million pound bid, or a 70 million euro bid, excuse me, I think that would just mean, they probably would just kind of just fork him over and just say, listen, we just have to accept that. That's just way too much money, and it gets us out of all of our financial troubles. So Josh, maybe that 70 million euro bid could be that get out of jail free card to get Bastoni back into Spurs. Let me know what you think of that. The coffee company, good to see you, Ben. Hopefully everything's good. Hopefully everything's brewing good as well, Ben. Ken Leafield or Liefeld saying, heard there are rumors about a player swap plus cash with Sanchez going to enter. Whoa. Sanchez, I kind of feel like the La Liga or the Serie A might be the best destination for him, Ken. So I think that's actually quite clever. I never even thought about that. Didn't even see those rumors as well. Big up though, Josh. Really do appreciate support, my man. And then Kuva99 tuning in for a long time. Been a while, Kuva, saying, I'm not going to lie. I'm gutted we're not getting Bastoni. Making a bid might actually help. It's amazing how transfers work like that, offer money. Kuva, I know what you mean, my man. I do know what you mean. If I'm not mistaken, maybe we threw in like the 51 million kind of pound bid, but that was like the bare minimum that they've been kind of asking for, which might not have been convincing enough. Had we maybe thrown in like that 70 million euro bid that we were just talking about earlier, maybe that would have been kind of, the money that just makes them just have to, just say yes. So I see where you're coming from, my man. Simon Cohen saying, hi, Jack. Plenty more fish in the sea. Absolutely, Simon. Completely agree, my man. And Ellie with absolutely massive one saying, hey, Jack, love your show. Here's some dough to support you all in the great work you do. There's a song will support you evermore. That's what I'll be doing. There's a song will support you evermore. And that's what I'll be doing. Absolutely love you, Ellie. Really do appreciate support. And Ellie, it's good to have you in the live chat because we're going to be discussing all the various left-sided center backs. And I'm going to be calling them the non-Bastonis, Ellie. So I'm going to need your support. I'm going to need a lot of people supporting this because, to be fair, I don't really have a strong opinion, I think, on any of the left-sided center backs apart from Bastoni. I was kind of in Kuva's camp, Ellie, when it came to it. I was kind of Bastoni or nothing, go all out for that guy. And now that we maybe are missing out on him, it is a huge loss. So I'm going to need help from the Harris Army as well as help from the Flat Cap Army. And Ellie, really do appreciate the donation. Really do appreciate support. Absolutely massive. Way too generous. But hopefully we'll be catching you tomorrow, Ellie, because David and I on the Irish Hotspur, we will be doing a transfer stream where all the members will be coming on. Everybody who does have that fan show membership, we're doing 2 fan show shows a week, everybody, on the Irish Hotspur from now on. And the next one tomorrow is going to be a transfer kind of related one, or at least just a Spurs news related one. And Ellie, I do hope to see you there and really do appreciate the support as well. Absolute legend. Honestly, way too generous, way too generous. Just going to welcome a few more people in before we get it going. Derek Smith saying, I'm hearing Edmund Tapsoba. No, Derek, you're playing with my heart there, Derek. Absolutely. I mean, Edmund Tapsoba, I think, would be one of the best players available out there for the sort of back three. I think he's absolutely stunning. Stevie Frazier saying, big ups, Jack, in the chat. Big ups, Stevie. Really do appreciate you, my man. Thanks for tuning in. Ian Ferguson, good to see you. Saying, looks like we might be doing going in Van de Beek. I'd rather this I don't think Van de Beek's happening, my man. I think he's staying over at Man United. He said, I'd rather Bastoni news come out now, just chasing him all window. But if it still happens somehow, I wouldn't be mad either. Yeah, I want it to happen. I feel like 70 million euros is exactly what would probably get them to fork him over, but it seems like Spurs are just going to settle for the next best option, which is something you're just going to have to get used to, Ian. It kind of is our style of play. But Ash saying, let's sign Hakimi instead and win by scoring some more goals. Absolutely love that, Ash. Absolutely love that, my man. Just going to take a quick sip of the coffee. Still early my time, but we're about to get the show started. We do have over 40 in the house. Everybody, do hit that like button while you're here. And it's going to be a very personal stream, just kind of connecting back and forth between you guys and going to be talking about all the various kind of non-Bastoni options that are available. I'm going to be comparing all the ones that we have been linked with to basically Ben Davies and Eric Dier. And there is something that I do want to bring up here where I feel like some of the center backs that we are being linked with could actually have a better opportunity at maybe playing ahead of Eric Dier, then maybe they have a chance at playing ahead of Ben Davies. Sven Botman, I think, is a good example of that. Sven Botman, when you kind of think about it, nowhere near as mobile as maybe the other center backs we're looking at, a bit tall, kind of big and powerful. So why would you maybe put him out wide where maybe he could actually get skinned, where maybe he would be a bit more comfortable? Whereas if you put him in the middle of that back three, you could see a lot more production from him, and he might be a lot more comfortable as well. Like, he's big and tall, can maybe win the headers, can play those ping passes in behind. I kind of like Sven Botman for that sort of position. So everybody, while I am going to be comparing him to Ben Davies and Eric Dier, consider maybe if we were to go for Sven Botman, maybe he could be that guy that, comes out and replaces the likes of Eric Dier. Just let me know about that. But Sven Botman, aerial win percentage, much higher than Ben Davies's. I think his is probably the best of all the center backs that we are connected to. Tackles 1 per 90. He's at 1. And these are all of his league stats versus all of Ben Davies's kind of Premier League stats, by the way. Percentage of dribblers tackled. So what this essentially means is anytime that you're coming up one-on-one with the dribbler, how often are you going to win that tackle when you do attempt it? And Sven Botman wins it 42% of the time, or at least 43% of the time when you kind of look at it, whereas Ben Davies wins it 35% of the time. So in the one-on-one sort of areas, maybe Sven Botman's actually better than Ben Davies, but you could actually look at the fact that both of them are in two kind of separate sort of kind of defensive kind of systems. Sven Botman dribbled past fewer times than Ben Davies. Ben Davies dribbled past 0.78 times per 90, whereas Sven Botman 0.48. Pressures, Ben Davies commits more pressures than Sven Botman does. Kind of makes sense because he is the outside center back in that back three. Blocks per 90, somehow Sven Botman actually has more blocks than Ben Davies, and Ben Davies has been the king of blocks recently. And then tackles and interceptions, Ben Davies actually has more tackles and interceptions than Sven Botman. When you kind of look at this sort of thing, like maybe Sven Botman, you could see certain elements of him being a better defender, certainly a more powerful defender. But in that sort of outside left side center back area where he will be a bit exposed, I don't think he actually would be. Hot take here. I actually don't think Botman would be better than Ben Davies out there in that left sided center back position. Whereas comparing him to Eric Dier, and I'm going to get to the comments here. I do promise here, everybody. But I am going to compare him to Eric Dier, where I do think Sven Botman would be better served, maybe trying to compete for Eric Dier's spot. Aerial win percentage, much higher than Eric Dier's. Tackles won is higher than Eric Dier's. Percentage of dribblers tackled, again, he's much better in the one-on-one situations than maybe Eric Dier is. Dribbled past, sorry that they're both highlighted green, bit of a typo, but Eric Dier actually dribbled past fewer times than Sven Botman. So maybe credit to Eric Dier. Their pressures, of course, Sven Botman's going to commit more. He's in the middle of the back four. Blocks, he's going to have more. And then tackles, interceptions, he also has more there, everybody. So Sven Botman, at least in my eyes, might be actually better served maybe putting him in the middle of that back three. Let me know what we think of that, everybody. But I'm going to take the stats down and maybe get to a few of the comments here. But Marquise de Suave saying, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I just don't see Botman as an upgrade over Davies or Dier. I feel like he'd be an interesting competition for Eric Dier, if I'm going to be honest. But there might be better competition for Eric Dier out there. So I do see what you're saying, Marquise. And he's saying, yeah, his tackles, but how many fouls does Botman give up a game? He dives on almost every play. I did see that in the highlight package. I do remember that, actually, Marquise. Martin Walton saying Botman isn't a sexy choice, but he fit in instantly in the Prem, ready-made for the league. Maybe so. Maybe so. And I think David has said that before. Ellie saying, I like the right back position, Molina. Yeah, I love Nahuel Molina. Feeling for Emerson, Argentinian like Romero. If we don't get Bastoni, Gvardiol best signing. Yeah, completely agree. We will be talking about Gvardiol later. Don't you worry, everybody. We do have Kelvin. Welcome into the house, my man. Martin, yeah, don't you worry. The Gvardiol stats are coming out. I'm actually saving them kind of till the end, maybe just to, kind of torture you guys. I'm just kind of that mean sometimes, I must be honest. Just making sure I'm not missing any really golden comments from you guys. Botman scores goals. He's an absolute threat in the air, to be fair. And he's a cheaper and better option, says Hollywood Hotspur. Completely agree. Killian Kenny, good to see you, my man. Good to see you, Killian. And then thoughts on Lisandro Martinez from Ajax with Stevie B going there. That's an interesting swap deal option. Lisandro Martinez, though, very, very small sort of center back. And could he make that adaptation to the Premier League like maybe a Jules Koundé is going to have to soon? I'm not sure. I mean, he is an excellent passer of the ball, to be fair to him, but I can't make any strong opinions about Lisandro Martinez. I don't really watch him enough, but I do know maybe he might struggle with maybe kind of being that smaller center back, but being in a back three, maybe that's better for him. It's a good suggestion, our end. But let's move on from sort of kind of the defensive numbers to sort of kind of actually the forward numbers, kind of the progressive numbers, goal involvements. Sven Botman actually had more at the end of his Liga season. Long pass completion percentage has way more than Ben Davies. And he's actually, I would say that's probably been Sven Botman's best asset is maybe his sort of long passes. He is an excellent pinger of the ball. I've seen him do some excellent switches of play. I think he is a really good pinger of the ball. Maybe a bit clumsy on the ball in other scenarios, but he does have a really good ping on him, to be fair. Passes completed has more than Davies, but the rest of that stuff, Ben Davies is just going to dominate him in because Ben Davies is excellent in that sort of left side center back position in those sort of stats. When you're outside in that, wide sort of center back position of the back three, your passes into the final third are going to be pretty high. Your passes made under pressure are going to be pretty high. Your progressive carries are going to be high and your progressive passes are going to be high. And it's not a surprise that they're better than Sven Botman's. Whereas when you compare it to Eric Dier's, you do see how Sven Botman actually compares well. Again, he scored more at the end of the day. Long pass completion percentage is much higher. Passes completed. Actually, Eric Dier has more progressive passes. You do see Sven Botman a bit higher there. Passes into the final third, he's a bit higher there. Passes made under pressure, he's a bit higher there as well. And then progressive carries, just because he's probably in a back three. Eric Dier is better. Again, I must hammer this home. I actually think Sven Botman does compare really well to Eric Dier for the middle of the back three. Like maybe people said before, not the sexiest of options, but a cheaper option and someone that I think could maybe be just a slight upgrade on Dier and is still quite young. Before we move on to Pau Torres, Zoe's favorite option, just want to say hello to SOF here. Good to see you, my man. Michael M saying, looking forward to the Gvardiol stats. I think we all are, my man. I think we all are. But yeah, he's only 5'7". Wow, I thought he was actually taller than that, to be fair. But incomings do not have to be upgrades just as good. Spurs haven't been letting in many goals. Yeah, Derek, you're actually fair. It's just we just need better depth that is at least just as good. You're probably right, actually, Derek. What's Botman's market value? I think he's probably still around 27 million pounds. I think that was the last time I checked. He is still, I think, one of the cheaper kind of available options. It is 11:03 a.m. in New York. Killian, good to see you, my man. Kuva99 saying, if not Bastoni, then I'd certainly favor Gvardiol out of those others we're linked with. Very aggressive compared to the others. And I like center backs to scare people, to be honest, with Romero on the other side. Wow. Completely agree, Kuva. Completely agree. But I am going to now look at Pau Torres, everybody. Pau Torres, let's see how he compares to Ben Davies. In terms of kind of defending stats, aerial win percentage is, a bit higher. Tackles one. Ben Davies actually having more. I would say Pau Torres, maybe his defending attributes are some of his worst, maybe attributes, but he is more of a withdrawn sort of kind of center back, kind of like Eric Dier, to be fair, isn't very aggressive. Whereas someone like Kuva really likes that aggressive center back. I would say maybe Pau Torres is not that aggressive of a center back. I could be wrong, though. Tackles one, though. I mean, Ben Davies higher there per 90. Percentage of dribblers tackled. Again, a stat that reflects sort of the one-on-one situations. Pau Torres actually better than Ben Davies. To be fair to Ben Davies, though, maybe he gets caught out, maybe a bit more exposed. And so he is going to have a lower sort of percentage of dribblers tackled. Dribble pass, though, Pau Torres also not dribble pass nearly as much as Ben Davies. Pressures per 90. Ben Davies is a bit higher there. Blocks is a bit higher. And then tackles and interceptions, he's a bit higher. Pau Torres, I would say maybe in the one-on-one situation, maybe a better defender than Ben Davies. But again, I don't know if he's better in that left side center back position of the back three than Ben Davies. I actually, again, will say this. Pau Torres, I think, would be pretty excellent at maybe competing with Eric Dier for Eric Dier's position. As much as I want to maybe, play the narrative that we're looking for that Ben Davies upgrade, I actually think with maybe what's out there, apart from Gvardiol, and again, we're getting to Gvardiol later, everybody, but the other center backs that we are kind of looking at, I actually think are better served as upgrades maybe on Eric Dier than they are upgrades on Ben Davies. But let's take a look again at maybe Pau Torres versus Eric Dier in the defensive stats. Aerial win percentage much higher. Tackles one per 90, not that much higher. Percentage of dribblers tackled, again, much better one-on-one defender, you might say, than Eric Dier. Then again, though, Eric Dier does get dribble pass probably fewer times than Pau Torres, but he is, again, though, maybe comforted by being in the middle of a back three. Pressures, he is going to commit more, Pau Torres, but not that much more, which is a bit concerning. Again, kind of shows how withdrawn Pau Torres is, if you ask me. Blocks, Eric Dier has more there, and then tackles and interceptions, Pau Torres has more. If you ask me, Pau Torres is probably better served at least, in the middle of the back three from at least from whenever I've watched him. In terms of goal involvements, Pau Torres with 6. I think he had 5 goals in La Liga this season. And I'd imagine most of them were from headers, everybody. So you could take a look at Pau Torres again as that sort of, upgrade on Eric Dier, someone that could actually win headers for us from corners, someone who could be a set piece sort of threat. I think Pau Torres, as much as he's not everybody's favorite option here, you could kind of look at him as also a set piece threat as one of the attributes that he could bring to Spurs as well. But goal involvement's more than Eric Dier. Long pass completion percentage, Dyer's is definitely more. Passes completed per 90, Dyer's more. But then the rest of these stats, which are, kind of reflect how good maybe Pau Torres is in possession, really just shows why I think he could be really good in the middle of the back three. He has more progressive passes, more passes made under pressure. You would say maybe with Pau Torres is that he's actually one of the best center backs, maybe in sort of the world actually under pressure. He seems to have the extra second on the ball. He seems really comfortable in possession in a lot of stages. So that is what I really do like about Pau Torres. And I think he'd probably be a bit better than Eric Dier in that regard because Eric Dier does get rid of the ball maybe with a bit anytime he's put under pressure, might boot it away, might give it away. Whereas Pau Torres might just be a bit more cooler, a bit more composed, I would say. And then progressive carries, he has more as well. I just say in possession, Pau Torres is just better in every regard than Eric Dier, which is again why I think he could be better served for that sort of kind of middle of the back three sort of position. There are a lot of people in the house. I'm just going to say hello, but we are going to be moving on to Josko Gvardiol last, everybody. Last but not least, definitely for sure. In that case, Michael M saying, I'd rather compare Bremer to Dier. Here's the thing, though, with Bremer, you're being so unfair probably to Dier because you actually know what the stats are going to get. Bremer is just going to have, triple the number of pressures. He's going to have triple the number of tackles and interceptions. He is the aggressive center back in that back three, whereas Dier is the least aggressive center back in our back three. So I think Bremer is an upgrade on Dier. Don't get me wrong. I think he is an upgrade on him, but he plays entirely differently to the likes of Eric Dier. So it'd be kind of, I don't know. It's just apples to oranges kind of, kind of comparison, if you ask me, Michael. Kier45 saying, go get Torres and Botman, Milinkovic, Savic, and Eriksson. Definitely bring it in SMS. That is the big one, my man. Martin Walton says, now Torres is a sexy choice, but I do have serious doubts about him standing up to the physicality of the Prem. That seems to be the big kind of weighing kind of sort of kind of doubt over his head, I would say, Martin. I completely agree, my man. SOF saying, I would like a Gvardiol, but if the price is 80 million, that's a massive gamble. He's had one good season in the Bundesliga. The last time Spurs paid over the odds, we ended up with Ndombele. Different director of football this time, SOF, but it is a huge. Is it a huge gamble? Maybe not, but it definitely is a huge price tag. And you're not. Yeah, it just seems like maybe too much. Wes the King in the house. Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Hong saying that's a good signing, or a good sign. Well, good to see that, my man. Ash saying, will you start Doherty for 38 Premier League matches? Absolutely not. I think we still need to get in a right wing back. And if we were to bring in Spence, I just feel like he has to be head and shoulders above Matt Doherty because I would be worried if he isn't better than Matt Doherty or Emerson. I think we need to get one that's clearly head and shoulders above those two, if you ask me, Ash. Moving on, though, we do have, just making sure I'm not missing any of the comments. BT13 says, need to take into account the leagues they play into. Yeah, BT, I've tried my best. I probably should have mentioned that a few times more, but I would say, though, with all the center backs we are looking at, we're looking at one from La Liga, we're looking at one from Liga, and we're looking at one from the Bundesliga. With the Bundesliga, of course, you're going to get much more kind of pressing, teams, and that means like somebody's defensive numbers are going to be a lot higher. It means someone's like pressure number is going to be a lot higher. It means someone's even passing numbers might be a lot higher as well because there's just bigger exchanges of the ball and things like that. Whereas, Liga, I think is more kind of like, very kind of deep sitting kind of defensive sort of league. Whereas La Liga, very possession based and whatnot. So it is a good point there, BT. Any news on the midfielders and forwards? Killian, not that I'm aware of at this stage. I think we're still talking about defenders, my man. Toxic Headshot says Conte improves any player. Remember Doherty, Davies, Emerson. Good point there, Toxic. Good to see that, my man. And then just making sure I'm not missing anybody. We should definitely be looking at Ndika. Crazy defensive stats, 4 goals and 4 assists this season, better stats than Grealish. And love that, Martin. And Dika certainly, and actually would be a better fit for that left side center back position than the likes of Pau Torres, than the likes of Sven Botman. I think he would fit into that much more seamlessly than those guys. I've also really liked Benoit Badiashile, Martin, but I think Evan Ndika is a great shout, my man. Last one, though, here, everybody. We are going to be talking about Josko Gvardiol here, everybody. And Josko, we are going to compare his sort of kind of passing numbers to the likes of Ben Davies, sort of his, in possession numbers to Ben Davies, and he just absolutely smokes him. In the likes of, passes completed, he has plenty more. To be fair, though, Leipzig have probably way more of the ball in most games than the likes of Spurs. Progressive passes, he has more, but again, maybe the way that Leipzig play, contributes to that. Passes into the final third, he has more. Passes made under pressure, and this has a huge part to do with the Bundesliga, because the Bundesliga, teams are constantly pressing you. Most teams kind of play more similar to each other, whereas the Premier League, it's like a huge diversity of kind of how teams like to play. Whereas the Bundesliga, everybody kind of plays somewhat similarly. So that means that you're going to have a lot of passes made under pressure. To be fair, though, to Josko Gvardiol, he is an excellent passer of the ball, which is why he is able to complete over 10 passes under pressure a game, which is a very impressive stat, I must say. Progressive carries, he has nearly 6 a game, but Ben Davies actually has more. And that actually shows maybe how good Ben Davies has been in that left side center back position. And maybe put a bit of respect on his name, perhaps, with that sort of progressive carry number. Josko Gvardiol, when you compare him to Ben Davies defensively, he just beats him in every metric. I mean, he's beating him in the aerial win percentage. He's beating him in tackles 1/90. Again, though, the Bundesliga, I feel you get more opportunities in the Bundesliga to have high tackles and interception numbers. But to be fair, Josko Gvardiol is an excellent player. And so he is going to have high tackles and interception numbers, even despite, the Bundesliga inflating them, a little bit, I would say. But his one-on-one numbers are actually really good. So despite having over 5 tackles and interceptions, anybody that has over 5 tackles and interceptions as a center back, that means you're very aggressive and you play in a very aggressive side, but that's also very elite. To have that many is elite. I think Gleison Bremer is near 6 or 7 or something like that. But Gvardiol is at that sort of elite level of tackles and interceptions per 90. But if you look also his one-on-one stats of, being dribbled past, or, his percentage of dribblers tackled, he's actually better than Ben Davies there. And he has more challenges and more duels probably than Ben Davies does per 90, I would guess. And he still has a better sort of one-on-one underlying numbers than Ben Davies, despite having more duels and more challenges than Ben Davies. Hopefully that made sense. I think that's a really good, way to look at it. Pressures, of course, has more. Blocks actually has more. But yeah, I think absolutely smokes Ben Davies on the defensive front. Love that, Martin. Absolutely love that, my man. Josko Gvardiol versus Eric Dier defensively. Eric Dier has a higher win percentage. Tackles 1, Gvardiol's higher. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if it's fair to compare him to Eric Dier, because they just play different positions in the back three. And Eric Dier is probably better served in the middle of the back three than Gvardiol. I think Gvardiol is a brilliant option for that left-sided center back of the back three. Whereas you're probably maybe wasting him. I don't know if you're wasting him, but you're not getting the best visibility if you put him in the middle of the back three, if you ask me. But if you were to compare maybe just their passing numbers, I mean, again, Gvardiol just absolutely smokes him in every single way. I mean, just look at the passes completed per 90 to the progressive passes made under pressure, I think, are just absolutely stunning. The fact that it's over 10 a game. But for me, honestly, I just feel like it's unfair to compare him to the likes of to Eric Dier. If you're going to ask me after all this, if you're looking for a Ben Davies sort of kind of replacement, if you're looking for a Ben Davies upgrade, you probably would go for Gvardiol. I think that's kind of obvious. I know that's, sound kind of silly after all saying all this, but it is still Gvardiol, I think, as the next best option if you're making an upgrade on Ben Davies. If you're not making an upgrade on Ben Davies, I would say maybe take a look at Pau Torres, because I think he could be a better sort of player in that Eric Dier role of the back three, that more withdrawn, kind of hesitant kind of center back that, kind of sees the game in front of him more. Pau Torres might be actually better served there and could actually be a slightly better than Eric Dier in that sort of position. But everybody, pretty quick stream. Just wanted to kind of get this out there and just going to kind of go through the comments a bit while we kind of sign off. Really appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Over 60 in the house at one stage. So I do hope you've been hitting that like button. But Gvardiol is not worth 80 million, says Marquise. Yeah, I don't think he's worth 80 million to Spurs at least. I think is even Bastoni worth 80 million to Spurs? Maybe you could say, but 70 million is definitely, like maybe towards our limit. So I'm not sure if he's worth 80 million. That's a good point there. Nothing from Ali Gold. So I've heard Killian. Martin Waldenson. Yeah, definitely look at Ndika. Yeah, I've heard we actually have been replacing the scouts, my man Toxic. I've heard we have been replacing the scouts. Absolutely love that, Martin. Absolutely love that. Kane Show saying Gvardiol used to play as a striker and is much more comfortable on the ball. He also used to play as a left back. I think he's played all over the pitch, which would explain his technical prowess for sure. Big up, Kane. Michael M says on the comment of Gvardiol's one season of good football in youth, Conte has experience in developing that. I trust that it wouldn't be another Ndombele. Worth it, I'd say. Yeah, I'm not worried about Gvardiol. He's going to be one of the best center backs in the world. I think probably 8 years from now. I think Michael, absolutely. I'm no worries at all. I don't think there's any, sort of kind of one season wonder numbers there. Cure 45 says, even if Gvardiol costs 80 million, go get him. Statement signing, still got 70 plus million from player sales, more than enough. Fair point there, Cure. I mean, we have been way too, especially myself, way too hesitant about spending too much. But here, with the player sales in mind and the swap deals available, it's a good point. Marquis saying Gvardiol came up as a left back, plays that position for Croatian national team. Insane speed and strength, rarely makes a gamble that doesn't pay off. I feel like he does make a few mistakes. I'll be honest. When I see him at left back, I've seen him make mistakes. I'll be honest. He doesn't look that good in possession at left back as he does in the middle of the back three, or sorry, in the left-sided center back of a back three. Excuse me, but yeah, I mean, he is exceptional that he can even play that position to a certain, high level. SOF saying maybe Parachichi is playing 4D chess. Inter can't sell Bastoni to raise funds to buy Bremer. Spurs get him and Torres, two center backs for the price of one. Holy crap, SOF, that's unbelievable. Tom Hillier saying Gvardiol stats against Bastoni would be very interesting. I think they're actually much higher than Bastoni's in a lot of different ways, Tom. I think they're a lot higher in a lot of different ways, my man. It's just because of probably the two different leagues when you kind of look at it. Gvardiol's only 20. Conte can make him so much better. Really good point there. Killing kind of get this. No worries, my man. No worries. Marquise and Red Bull and Spurs play completely different systems. It's like comparing quarterbacks where one team runs all the time. Exactly, my man. It is really hard. And that's why I kind of didn't feel like it was necessary to compare Gvardiol versus Eric Dier. I just feel like it's just not really, there's no point. Like, you're not really gaining anything from it. SOF saying Gvardiol will be worth 80 million for a team that doesn't have several roles to fill. Should we pay half our budget on him and not upgrade other areas? Exactly, SOF. We have multiple sort of areas to fill, which is why you can't blow the whole budget on one player. Completely agree, my man. Completely agree. But everybody, if Pau chooses United, Gvardiol stays at Leipzig, and Bremer goes to Inter, worst case scenario, who would be my choice? I would probably go for... I really like Benoit Badiashile or Evan Ndika, and maybe I'd go Martin Walton's case. Maybe Evan Ndika for Ben Davies' position RN, and then maybe see if Botman could maybe also come in as maybe also a Dier sort of competition / upgrade. That's maybe what I would do. Get maybe Evan Ndika and Sven Botman, something like that. Sounds a bit crazy, but that's what I would go. And worst case scenario, like you asked, worst case scenario, if all those guys are gone, that would be my answer. Let me know what you think of that. But everybody, I am going to be signing off here. Do hit that like button, everybody. Do hit that subscribe as well if you are new to Flat Cap Euro Talk. Do recommend this stream, everybody, to others who want to maybe take a look at how all these sort of center backs compare. The Irish Hotspur will be live on later, so do check us out there. Really do appreciate you all tuning in. I think we've had 60 in the house at some stages, and so really do appreciate all the support. But that will be all for now, everybody. As always, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust, and I will be seeing you.